Hello again, this is Karen Schoen, and I am an agender, with which we have discovered that agenders are Americans who are dedicated to educating the rest of Americans about Agenda 21 so that we can stop it. Before we learned about Agenda 21 and its new names called Sustainable Development and Smart Growth, and we talked about the goal and objective of 21. The goal and objective that we discovered is really the hidden goal and objective of money, power, and control. Once those mechanisms are in place, now a group of people have to be trained or retrained so that they will accept this new ideology and new way of life. Well, how does that happen? And the way that that happens is the way that Agenda 21 addresses the issues. And they address the issues by talking about the 3 E's of Agenda 21. Well, I know there's really 4, but we'll talk about the 3 first. The first E is equity. What does that mean? Well, if we take America as America and just look at the land mass, America is probably the world's richest landmass, containing more natural resources than any other land in the world. Not only do we have this wonderful landmass that has natural resources below it, but we also have incredible land for agriculture above it. America is very unique because in America, Americans are allowed to own a piece of their country. We're the only country in the world where the individual can not only own a piece of their country, but they also can own what is below it. What does that mean? Well, if you're a farmer and you discover water, the water is yours. If you discover oil, the oil is yours. If you discover minerals, the minerals are yours. And that's the way America was set up. America was set up as a land of we, the people, control the government and own the land. And that was our founding fathers. Thank goodness for them for having that wonderful insight. So it must be taken away. And the first tenet of Agenda 21 even states that land is not sustainable, and therefore, as an individual owner of land, that is unacceptable, not sustainable, and must become part of the collective. What does that mean? That means all land should be put in a pool with no individual ownership of land, and the only ownership is the good of everyone, with the elite controlling the outcome. So by eliminating our equity, which means the ownership in our land, and more than that, it's also the equity of our individual intellectual property. You create something in America, it's yours. You don't have to share it with the government, it's yours. There aren't many other countries that allow that to happen either. So in America, equity is very, very important. And if we take that away, then the individual becomes unimportant and the group takes on the meaning of the individual. So I would not be able to own something unless everyone in the group was able to own it. I would not be able to create something unless everyone in the group created it. That's the tenet of Agenda 21. They also must destroy the economy of America. And how do they do that? Well, they do that by controlling the environment. So today we have incredibly crushing environmental legislation which is not designed to do anything other than remove Americans from their land, take away their intellectual property, put it in a pool and call it saving the environment. And how is that done? That's done by rezoning, by the Endangered Species Act, by giving grants that tie up property, by conservation easements, and any other thing or mechanism that can be put in place to take away the individual property and rights from the individual and put it in a pool called the collective. They use wetlands for rezoning purposes, wildlands for rezoning purposes. All that means is a way to take away your private property and land, calling it an environmental issue. So you are being told of all of the things you can no longer do because now the government is replacing them with things that they want you to do. So your mindset begins to change. And all of that, as we have seen today in America, is affecting our economy. Because when Americans cannot work, they're not happy. And when they cannot work, they then slip from the middle class, which is considered not sustainable, to a lower class of dependency on the government. And it becomes a love-hate relationship whereby the government wins because you, the individual, become so dependent upon the government that you cannot think of living without it. Hence, we have elections today whereby 47% of the American population, in some way, shape, or form, depends upon the government. How is that going to play out when that dependency is gone? It won't. It frightens the people. So therefore, the people continue to elect the same people over and over again who want all the money, all the power, and all the control. And all of this can be seen on agenda21today.com.